bunch of people. Better stop.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Mike, who works in the State Department, said yesterday that he's been so busy because they're trying to write. They were asked whether they think AID is what's the importance of it? What is the benefit to the United States? So they wrote up, if the United States doesn't do this, China's going to move in, and that would be a terrible thing. So that's what he's been that's what he's been up to.
Right. And like, why didn't they ask that before they did this? Like shoot first, then draw the target in a way. And it's just like, it's insane. It's complete insanity. Like, even if someone agrees with that this should happen in theory, the process is just beyond comprehension.
Well, there were so many oopses. It's like, oh, we didn't realize that by stopping all government funds that the police that have grants to buy weapons aren't going to be able to get their weapons. I mean, it's that kind of stuff.
Well, that's the way Trump operates. He just does maximum disruption and then deals with it, just like with the tariffs.
Right.
That's his bargaining tool.
With AID, there's also the question of compensating the less developed countries for not moving big into building a lot of new coal-powered, electricity plants and environmental damage. And it's in our interest to compensate them for not doing that, not cutting down all the forests, So, but I guess since we abandoned the Paris Climate Treaty, we don't feel we have any obligation, or the administration doesn't.
Well, dig, baby, dig, or whatever that is.
Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what to say. We are living through
what does he care for his grandchildren and great grandchildren, and
they're going to have bunkers underground, or else they're going to be off on a
Mars
spaceship.
Mars.
They're going to Mars on Musk's spaceship. So I don't know if you heard that the sales of Tesla in Europe is down like 63%. And that here there were, I want to say, I can't remember how many tens of thousands of unsold. What are those monster trucks things that he's got that look like they came?
Oh, the cyber trucks?
Yes.
My kids are super into those.
Well, there are like lots filled with unsold cyber trucks.
Because no one wants to support him.
Yeah.
I will say that as so many groups that I'm a part of, political talk is taking a major role. I mean, people just cannot help not to talk about it. They have to say something. Yeah. Even in one group, the leader of the group said that this is her safe space. We're not going to talk about politics. And we were talking about politics last night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, watch the stock market, and that'll, as it plunges, maybe things will change.
Yep. Yeah. And the stock market hates uncertainty, and Trump hates certainty. So we're in a collision course there.
Also, I think the Chamber of Commerce has voiced their opinion about the tariffs, which I think had an effect on having them clawed back. So, I know.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say.
Well,
considering
that people didn't like the prices they were paying at the grocery store, imagine with the tariffs when a lot of the produce we get is either from Mexico or Canada.
Hope no one likes avocados. Yep. All right. As depressing as this is, let's learn depressing Torah, I guess. All right. So last time, we got within 3 psukim of finishing this chapter. So let's just refresh a little bit about what is going on here. We saw like in 15, Im zoneh ata Yisrael, al yesham Yehuda, ve'al tavo'u ha-Gilgal, ve'al ta'alu beit aven, ve'al tishabu chai Hashem. So if you're a lecher, whatever, Israel, don't let Judah incur guilt, right? Yelling at Israel, saying, protect Judah. Now we say, ki kifara sorera sarar Yisrael ata yirem Hashem kekeves b'merchav. Israel has balked like a stubborn cow, therefore God will graze him on the range like a sheep. In other words, God will like reduce the cow's, food intake to be like that of a sheep is the explanation I saw. Yeah, okay, but I'm sure there's others. So this is a very interesting pasuk in 17. Chavur atzavim Ephraim hanach lo. Translated here as Ephraim is addicted to images. Let him be. The Dot Mikra says, well, this just refers to the Elilim, like the idols, that Ephraim is just like obsessed with those, so leave him alone. But I'm curious what people have for a translation.
Ephraim is joined to idols.
Like Chavur. Okay, great.
And I have Ephraim is attached to idols.
Okay, and then what about the second half? Hanachlo.
Let him be.
Let him alone.
Let him alone.
Can you hear me? This is Elena, but
yes, yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, somehow
let him alone. Okay.
I am on, but I don't know why my screen is not there. It just says iPad.
Oh, okay. Okay. So let him alone. Yeah, this says maybe, it's talking to Yehuda, saying just don't get involved. Okay.
And then they have a footnote that says, it is futile to rebuke Ephraim, the tribe of the northern kingdom.
Just leave it, like, don't even go there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
I have a comment on the word atzavim for idols. And this is according to Ibn Ezra and Sudat David, that says derives from atzev, sad, because they serve only to cause grief to their worshipers.
Interesting. Okay. That's funny. Okay. Sar Savam Hazne, he's new, Ahavu, Hevu, Kalon, Magineha. So they drink to excess, their liquor turns against them. They love beyond measure, disgrace is the gift. I welcome other translations also. These are, these are psukim that are worded strange.
Well, their adulterous drinking orgies have become foreign and then in brackets to me. Her rulers love to invite disgrace.
Oh, that's interesting.
When it comes to the he's new, so the translation here is a little more precise. Have led them to harlotry. Their love or their excesses, their drinking bouts have become strange. They have led them to harlotry. Her rulers love to invite disgrace upon them.
Okay.
But at least it brings in the proper translation of, with he's new, right? Wouldn't that be?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
They drink in rebellion. They commit harlotry continually. Her rulers dearly love dishonor.
That makes more sense than this JPS translation.
Or with
Okay. Yeah, I mean, certainly like here they've got lots of different explanations for these different words and what it means. It's just hard to know exactly what is going on. But certainly it's not good. And here's the last pasuk of the chapter. Tzarar ruach otah b'knafeha v'yevoshu mizivchotam, excuse me. That the wind is bringing, they shall garner shame from their sacrifices. So Yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you Ruach Serak, Titzror, Tikshor, Tarama, right? This is translated as there's like a storm wind that is coming. Yeah. Anyone, what else do we have? There's got to be better translations in this.
The
wind go ahead, someone else.
The wind has bound her by her wings. They will be ashamed of their sacrifices.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense as a
Mhm.
translation.
I have something very similar, especially being bound up in the wings and ashamed of their altars.
And then there's a footnote from Rashi. Like a bird blown off course by a strong wind, you will be driven into exile, ashamed that your gods could not save you.
I like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Just one last word different. And it says, the last line, and they shall be ashamed because of their sacrifices. A little different.
Okay. Yeah, the word, I mean, the Hebrew is weird. Miziv chotam, from their sacrifices, right? That's why JPS translates it this way. But right, that doesn't necessarily make sense. Okay, great. So certainly this is bad prophecy, right? Give up in Ephraim. It's not even worth talking to, Nevi'im, right? Like, just he's so bad, just don't even bother wasting your energy because they've just gotten so off course. But don't worry, the wind is coming to kind of sweep them up, I guess. Not good. All right. Now, we said last time we're continuing with the Shim'u, right? And so when God says Shim'u, listen, that's not a good thing, right? That means a bad message is coming. So here we go. Shim'u zot hakohanim v'hakshivu beit Yisrael u'beit hamelech ha'azinu ki lachem hamishpat kifah chayitem lemitzpah v'reshet prusa al tavor. So hear this, so priests, attend or pay attention, house of Israel, and Veit Hamel Ha'azinu, give ear, O royal house. Right, so we're talking to the Kohanim, the house of Israel, and then the Beit HaMelech, the royal house. For right conduct is your responsibility, but you have been a snare to Mitzpah and a net spread out over Tavor. Anyone have anything different?
Hear this, O Kohanim, hearken, O house of Israel, O royal house, give ear, for the judgment is yours. You have been a snare to Mizpah and a net extended over Tabor.
Okay, so fairly similar. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right. So yes, we are talking to everyone, right? Pay attention.
Yeah, and then there's a footnote. God asked the Kohanim, why do you not offer sacrifices on the altar? They replied, because Israel does not bring us any. Then God said to Israel, why do you not bring offerings? They replied, because the king has blockaded the roads to Jerusalem. So God rebuked the royal household. The sentence of punishments is upon you.
Beautiful.
Now that's also from Rashi.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because the whole point was that the northern kingdom, Yeravam, doesn't want them going down to
then
Jerusalem.
Alternatively, instead of administering justice, you were a snare to the populace who followed your example of corruption and perversion. Tabor and Mizpah were high mountains where hunters often set up traps and nets. And that's from Radak.
Okay, thank you. Great. Oh, yes, Rav Yossi.
Mara?
Yeah, go ahead.
According to pure halacha, I mean, Hoshea is talking prophecy, but according to pure halacha, wouldn't they be considered anusim, that they can't come to Jerusalem?
The people. Well,
because that's what Radak said, or Rashi, sorry.
Right. Then he had to turn to the house, the kings.
Well, I have a comment for the next sentence for Pasuk 2 that says that there was a decree that anyone who does go up to Jerusalem to sacrifice will be put to death.
Right. So to Rav Yosef's point, right? Yeah. Then they should.
Yeah, but it might just be that the soldiers were told to kill anybody who tried to cross the border, not literally because they brought a korban, but because they were trying to get to Jerusalem, right? So, but yeah, that's it's scary that he would be prophesying like this, and as if the people of Israel are part of the problem.
Right, or at least, what I appreciate is at least willing to investigate like the chain of command, right? The Kohanim say, no one brought us anything. So you go to the people, why didn't you bring anything? And they say, well, the king won't let us, right? That's certainly, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like at least you're investigating the chain of what things are happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you are supposed to sacrifice if it's something that, well, you'll lose your life.
Yeah.
It's not like they're being told to worship an idol, you would be expected to give up your life. But if it's just a question of trying to bring a sacrifice, would you have to give up your life for that?
Probably not, but yeah, that's exactly the question.
Yeah. Okay. V'shachata seitim heimiku ve'ani musar lechulam. For when trappers dug deep pitfalls, I was the only reprover of them all. Yeah. As my commentator here says, Katuv ze rabubo haperushim. For this pasuk, oh boy, is there a lot written on it, right? Which means that it doesn't make any sense. Shachata sheitim he'emiku anshe bliyal, right? These are the bad people who stray from the way of God. Excuse me. And saying why shachata, right? Why slaughter? This is not the literal translation, right? But shachata means they slaughter because they would kill people. Yeah, they killed people. Anyone have a different translation that's more literal?
By preventing the slaughter of offerings, the deviants deepened iniquity, and I castigate them all.
Okay. I see. That's interesting. Okay. Anyone else have anything different? Okay. So that certainly ties in with verse 1 about preventing them from doing things. Good. Ani yadati Ephraim v'Yisrael lo nichachad mimeni ki ata hizneta Ephraim nitma Yisrael. Yes, I have watched Ephraim. Ani yadati Ephraim. It's kind of like, I know, like I've been keeping an eye on you, right? I know what Ephraim's up to. Israel has not escaped my notice, right? God's saying, yeah, I know what's going on with Ephraim and with Israel. Ephraim, I know that you've fornicated. Been promiscuous. It's all the same word, zonah. And that Israel has defied itself, right? Which is important that, to hear the voice of God saying, it's not that I've been letting you run around and do whatever you want. I know exactly what you've been up to. I think about that, like as a teacher a lot, now that I'm teaching full time. Do you call your students out every time you see them doing something? Or sometimes do you say later, I noticed you were da, 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 da. Right, so the God's making sure that, let's not think that God, is just so oblivious we can get away with it. No. Lo excuse me. Lo yitnum alelehem lashuv el Elohehem ki ruach zinunim bekirbam et Hashem lo yadal. Their habits do not let them turn back to their God because of the lecherous impulse within them. They pay no heed to God. I don't like this translation, especially at the end. Et Hashem lo yada'u. They don't know Hashem, which should come to reply to the beginning of 3, right? Ani yadati Ephraim, right? God says, I know Ephraim, and now the conclusion is, but the people don't know God. So it should be that same translation. Anyone else have anything worth noting here? Different translation? I don't know. Does anyone have a different translation for Ma'al Alehem than habits?
Not anything.
Alila is like a plot, right?
You have what?
Alila is a plot. So
Okay. Yeah, here he says Ma'asim Ra'im, right? Your bad actions. Okay. All right. Excuse me.
yeah, it's actually in last week's parsha. It's a sherit alalti bam that Hashem says that he wants the Pharaoh to tell the next generation how he played with them, but
Beautiful. Okay. Ve'ana ge'on Yisrael b'fanav v'Yisrael ve'Ephraim yikashlu be'avonam kashal gam Yehuda imam. Israel's pride shall be humbled before his very eyes. As Israel and Ephraim fall or stumble because of their sin, and Judah falls with them. So Ge'on Yisrael here, he says, is like the king of Israel, it seems. Not the Israel's pride. It means like the Ge'on, like the biggest of Israel. How do you have it translated?
Pretty similar.
That it's Israel's pride, not that it's Israel's king?
The pride of Israel will be before him, and Israel and Ephraim will stumble over their iniquity, and Judah too will stumble with them. I mean, it's very similar.
Okay.
Yeah. What I have is similar also.
Really, no one has Ge'on Yisrael as being king, Israel's king? Because my guy says pride is one of two options, but he offers both. It's either king or pride. Huh. All right. All right. And then, of course, this idea that Gam Yehuda, Kashal Gam Yehuda Imam, that Judah will also fall with them. Obviously it's confusing because we've also seen that like Judah is going to prevail, right? And that Israel is going to be gone. So just, here he says, well, it's the parts of Judah that stuck to Israel, or maybe it's that the Navi, he's hinting towards Yehoshaphat and Yehoram, who stuck to Achav and then fell, right? So it's not necessarily the kingdom of Judah as a whole, but rather hinting at certain individuals who represented Judah, who cleaved to the northern kingdom in its bad ways and then fell as a result. Betzonam uvivkaram yelchu levakesh et Hashem velo yimtza'u chalatz mehem. Then they will go with their sheep and cattle to seek God, but they will not find God. They have been cast off. Chalatz, right? Like chalisa. God cast them off. So they haven't been bringing sacrifices. Eventually the northern kingdoms will fall, and then they'll try to go and worship God, but they will not find God. God has gotten rid of them.
Yeah, I like the very end of this translation a little better, where it goes to they'll seek God that they won't find him. And it says he has withdrawn from them.
I have the same translation, to be withdrawn from them.
Yeah, that's how this guy translates it too.
But there's a comment here, chalatz as in klitza, right? Because like
yeah,
slip
I think
away.
so.
Yeah, to take off your clothing, the clothing that you will slip off. So it's a different phrase, I guess, if you think of it. And klitza is like rejecting someone that you would otherwise have had to marry. So it sort of makes you think of the bride and the groom relationship between Israel and God isn't working.
Yeah. Seems not. Okay. Bashem bagadu kivanim zarim yaladu ata yochlim chodesh et chelkehem. So because they have broken faith with God, I mean, it's not rebelled against. I mean, bagadu can be rebelled, but I'm thinking of a different word. Betrayed. I'm thinking of the word betrayed. God, because they have begotten alien children, Therefore, the new moon shall devour their portion. Okay, so we can look at the second half in a minute. But I just think it's interesting. Bashem Bagadu, really what it means is, I don't know what broken faith, I don't associate that with like cheating on, right? But that's clearly how it means here, that they've betrayed God and they've had foreign children, meaning with other women.
Bagdu is something that we saw in other prophets, like Bagdubi, like they were treacherous to me, right? So betrayed or treacherous would be
interesting. Okay.
That comes to mind.
Okay. Anyone have anything good for Yochleim Chodesh, the new moon?
Now a month will devour them with their portions.
Okay. My guy also says basically there's a lot of comments on this one that maybe it means that they'll be destroyed within a month, showing that like it won't take a long time to defeat them.
A footnote from Rashi says, because they begot Gentile children through intermarriage, their downfall will come in the month of Av.
Okay, that's what he means by Chodesh. Interesting. All right. Tik'u shofar begiv'ah chatzotzra berama harihu beit aven acharecha binyamin. So sound a ram's horn, a shofar in Giv'ah, a chatzotzra, a trumpet in Ramah. Give the alarm in Beit Aven after you, Benjamin. So, what are these types of sounds that we're talking about?
Just they've added a bracket to explain it here, where they say the enemy is coming after you, Benjamin.
Yeah.
Oh.
The acharecha binyamin. Oh, the enemy is coming after you. Okay, beautiful. Yeah. Right, these are all like battle alerts, right? Sound the shofar, sound the trumpet, yell, right? Like the enemy's coming. So we got to get ready for war. That's a pretty scary image, I think. I'm just checking how many verses this is. Okay. Yeah. All right. Ephraim l'shama tiyeh b'yom tochecha b'shivtei Yisrael hodati ne'emana. So Ephraim is stricken with horror on a day of chastisement against the tribes of Israel. I proclaim certainties.
Ephraim will be bewildered on the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel, I made the truth known.
I have something similar. Ephraim shall be desolate in the day of rebuke. Among the tribes of Israel, I make known what is sure.
Right. So that's interesting they use the word desolate there, because that's what I was more, that's one of the translations of desolate. Janet, you had bewilderment?
Ephraim will be bewildered on the day of rebuke. In other words, they won't understand it. It's what I would get out of that. Among the tribes of Israel, I made the truth known.
And I have something that's very similar to Janet. About using bewildered.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Okay. All right. Hayu Sari Yehuda Kemas Yigei Gvul Alehem. Gvul Alehem Eshboch Kamaim Evrati. Excuse me. The officers of Judah have acted like shifters of field boundaries. On them I will pour out my wrath like water.
I have the princes of Judah are like those who remove a landmark.
Yeah, okay, like literal landmark. Okay, great. Yeah. Which is, of course, a very sketchy thing to do. Not nice. So, and then I think it's also interesting here, the word is used, Eshboch kamaim evrati, and then I'll pour out my wrath like water. in the Pesach Seder, we say Shvo Chamarcha, right? Pour out your wrath. So, it's interesting here. It's the same word to use the image of just like letting loose completely. Oh boy. Okay.
Does that mean that this reflects the leaders of Judah that were corrupt and cheaters?
Yeah, seems so. Yeah.
I also have as a footnote, Ephraim failed to realize that his ills were a punishment for his sins.
That's the next verse. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's different explanations here. It says one could be Hayu Gozlim Sadot. They literally stole fields. Another is that they followed in the ways of the northern kings. Different understandings. Okay. Ashuk Ephraim Ritzutz Mishpat Ki Ho'il Halach Achretzav. Ephraim is defrauded, robbed of redress, because he has witlessly gone after futility. Seems to be like in keeping with this idea that Ephraim is done, right? There's no coming back for Ephraim. Here he says there's two ways to understand the pasuk, but it's kind of like beyond. Excuse me. Okay. Ve'ani ka'ash le'Ephraim b'cherakav le'beit Yehuda. For it is I whom rot to Ephraim, like decay to the house of Judah. Anyone got anything here?
Isn't Ash a moth?
Yes, okay. He's got his little drawings of different, the moths. I don't know if you can see. But he says they're basically, what are the moths that eat holes in your clothes?
Well, moths that go after wool, they eat wool.
Yeah.
Holes in your clothes.
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, and that would be a sign of
destroy
decay
clothes.
and
Yeah, I have I have the reference to a moth also.
Okay.
And like decay in the house. A moth to Ephraim and decay in the house of Judah.
Okay. Right. So here, I think one option he presents for the decay with Judah is, like a worm, right, crawling through an apple or whatever and destroying it in the process. So in keeping with the insect theory. Okay. Vayar Ephraim et Chalyo Yehuda et Mizoro Vayelech Ephraim el Ashur Vayishlach Melech Yarev Vehu lo yuchal lirpo lachem Velo yighe mikem mazor. Okay, so when Ephraim became aware of his sickness, literally he saw it, and Judah of his sores, Ephraim repaired to Assyria. I mean, I like the literal translation more. Ephraim went to Assyria. And he sent envoys to a patron king, but he will never be able to heal you and will not heal you of your sores, right? So this is, we know, of course, when things got bad, Ephraim, the kingdoms, they went to other nations to try to get help. But of course, saying you'll never get that. God is very offended by this idea in general, that you would go to other nations. Okay, any comments here?
What does Jared mean? Does he have a meaning?
Which word?
The name Jared. Where it says, and sent to King Jared.
Oh, yeah. Do you have that translated as a name?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. So yes, it's interesting here. My guy says this is a nickname for the Assyrian king. Clearly, that's not how the JPS translates it. He says a patron king, right? But of course, when at this point, the Northern Kingdom wanted to turn to Assyria. This is before, of course, Assyria destroyed the Northern Kingdom for help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder why they said patron here. Let me see. What do they say? Compare. I don't know. All right. They don't really explain it. Okay. Ki anochi kashachal leEphraim ukekafir lebeit Yehuda. Ani etrof elech esav ein matzil. No, I will be like a lion to Ephraim, like a great beast to the house of Judah. I will attack and stride away, carrying the prey that no one can rescue. Right? Ani etrof, that's from the word trafe, or trafe is from this word. It's an animal that is torn up, like attacked by another animal and therefore not kosher, right? So it's saying like, I will tear up these beasts.
First was a moth, now the lion.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. It's a bit of a difference.
Different destruction, of course.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good point. Okay, last pasuk. Elech ashuva el mekomi ad asher yeshmu uvikshu panai batzar lahem yeshachruneni. My throat's killing me. I will return to my abode till they realize their guilt. In their distress, they will seek me and beg my favor. So, we talked a lot previously in other classes about the format, right? Are all these chapters of all these different books different? Are they all kind of the same? Here, certainly, this is one where we are railing against, Ephraim and Judah at times, and not really saying that, oh, Judah will be saved, but this ends on the kind of note where it's like, all right, God's just gonna, carry this prey home to his lion's den, so to speak, and just wait it out, because it'll turn out at the end of the day they need me. But it's not hopeful, right? It's not joyous, it's not restorative. That's not good. This doesn't strike a good feeling. Any final comments on this chapter?
It doesn't sound
So
sound very hopeful to me.
Yeah, no.
But it's a sad
So-
ending, no? It's a
Yeah,
sad,
Barry, go ahead.
it's a sad ending.
Yeah, it's a sad ending, yes,
ending.
for sure. It's not positive.
So Hoshea would not be surprised if he were treated very harshly in the northern kingdom, because from the historian's point of view, he's living after Eliyahu. He's living. Eliyahu was back in the earlier days of Ephraim under Ahav, and we're now in the mid 700s, just before the fall of the northern kingdom. So he's being pretty courageous to get out there and to tell them it's time to change their ways. But well, I'm in suspense. Are they going to change their ways at all? I mean, and to think that they would treat Ashur as someone who was going to help them out in their distress. That's very ironic. Ashur then having a king who came in and destroyed them.
Yep.
But you did mention historians.
Right.
Shalmaneser wasn't planning on taking Judah captive or Ephraim captive.
No.
Their fight was with Egypt over who's going to be the ruling empire. And so Isaiah later said the same thing. Don't trust Egypt, don't trust Ashur, because they're both bad. And and what you asked specifically about daring, a Navi, a prophet, is obligated, according to Hashem, to carry the message even at the risk of their life. So that's why they put Jeremiah in jail and and killed Zechariah and killed others. So
Yep. Not good times.
Shot the messenger.
Yes, right.
literally.
Yeah.
But here, when you say shot, by the way, Jeremiah was put in a very special jail. I think only Bashar Assad could imagine it after seeing the footage today. he was in target practice. So you know how the people in circus they throw knives and around the person. He was their practice, and if he died, just bring another prisoner. That was that's where he was. So,
Jeez.
I don't usually watch footage, but something came up today, and I was looking at it. It's crazy.
Crazy. So crazy. Horrible. Yeah, and the Assyrians, we'll talk about it. The Assyrians were ugly, ugly, very, very bad.
Very brutal.
Really brutal. Yeah, that's a better word for it. Yeah, really tormented their captors and all that. Yeah.
Not that Babylon was much better, but they seem to understand that you could conquer without killing every last person.
And like decimate the societies. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, you think about the Babylonian exile was one where the Torah scholarship flourished.
Yeah, 100%.
Must have been something there, right?
100%.
Jews that remained there are the ones that composed the Talmud. So,
Yep.
and
Definitely.
the Babylonian Talmud is more what we go by than the Jerusalem Talmud.
Yep. Right. It was life was better there. It was easier. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. It was lovely to see you. I hope there's better news next week.
Amen.
Amen.
I'm a little
Thanks, Ruth. Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you so
we
much,
haven't
Ruth.
heard Hoshea criticizing